Welcome to Locality's Making Bank podcast, where we continue our exploration of South Florida's entrepreneurial landscape with host Keith Costello, co-founder and CEO of Locality Bank. Sit back, relax, and let South Florida visionaries guide you on an entrepreneurial journey from tribulation to triumph, sharing the very stories that have shaped them.
Norm Kravitz, welcome to Locality Bank's Making Bank podcast.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it.
Well, we're really happy to have Norm here. He's what I call the reluctant podcast guest. He's had such great. He's got a great story, which I've known about because we're in the same Vistage group together, and I've heard it. But I was like, gosh, Norm, you got to share your story because it's such a great, powerful story, and I think will be so uplifting for a lot of people. What Norm has done in his life is really, I think, impressive and tells a real story of how people can, through entrepreneurship and going for it, can really create a great life for themselves. So without any more explanation, we'll get right into it and get started. So Norm, tell us, where you grew up and where are you from?
Originally born and raised in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Was born there, my mom and dad, and we left, or my mom and dad, we ended up getting divorced when I was only 12 years old. We voted them out of the house.
You voted him out of the house,
yeah.
So it was like a family
It was literally
divorce.
Me, my two younger sisters, and my mom had a meeting together because dad wasn't being nice to mom. He was abusive. So we literally moved out of the house on top of my mom's business. She ran a upholstery business to refinish antiques.
Okay.
So we moved out for a couple months till the mess went away, and then we moved back into the house. But that was when I was just 12 years old.
Wow.
So
And your mom had her own business.
Yeah.
And was an entrepreneurial influence on you?
Exactly. Mom once told me, she says, son, you can never rely on anybody but yourself, which isn't exactly true. You can rely on family members and God and things like that. But if you really want to make sure something gets done all the way through, then you need to make sure that you follow it through all by yourself.
That's a great early lesson that your
she
mom
taught me fast.
Taught you. Yeah. So you stayed there in Virginia Beach?
Yep, in Virginia Beach. And then when I was going through school, I was doing well in school, and I joined Junior Achievement to try to get to know more kids and stuff like that and to do things. But one thing that always drove me was I wanted to do really, really well, period. I wanted to make mom proud of me. I don't know. That was the way I wanted to be. So in Junior Achievement, I was top salesperson. I sold the most wreaths. I was president of the year. I just wanted to do everything. I sold the most jewelry, things like that. So it was fun. Junior Achievement was really, really good for me. And then through Junior Achievement, I got a scholarship for Dale Carnegie.
Wow.
And I got to learn that class. So they gave me Dale Carnegie, and they asked me to come back the following summer to help teach it, or to be like a helper. So that was really, really fun. And then, that's how it kind of started. Then I started wanting to do more work and make money and help the family. One thing that you learn quickly, we lived in a house, but we only lived off $125 a week.
Wow.
Because that was, the alimony. I'm not going to lie. That's all there was. So $500 a month for me, my mom, and my two sisters. So I remember getting up in the morning before school and literally taking like grilled cheese sandwich, or making grilled cheese, open faced cheese on the broiler, or cinnamon toast. That would be like our breakfast. But we didn't know. It was awesome. I got up in the morning. I had to turn the heat on in the house in the morning so that you could save on the fuel. So you'd turn it on at the morning and turn it off at night when you go to bed.
Wow.
Mom would just give us extra quilts, things like that.
Wow. So it was tough, but you didn't realize it.
Nope.
It sounds like it sounds like once your dad left, it was good.
It was normalcy.
Yeah.
So I started sending out flyers in the neighborhood, asking people if I could cut their grass, clean their gutters and stuff. I was literally printing flyers and passing them out, and bought my own lawnmower, bought my own trash bags and stuff like that. Started doing that type of stuff. Then I got a job at the grocery store. I was bagger. And then I started working in produce and frozen foods and dairy. Became a manager in frozen foods and dairy after a couple of years. And then I started dating girls. And then I dated the pharmacy assistant in the grocery store. And then she said, "Hey, you want to go take this test down at the post office?" I said, "Heck yeah, I'll do whatever you want." Right? She was, a good-looking girl. So I go down and take the test, and I score super, super well. Uh-huh. So in less than 90 days, I'm hired on as a mailman in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So now I've gone from the grocery business over to being a mailman, and down at the Virginia Beach ocean front, there was plenty of routes, but there was this really bad route, and it had the most stops. It took 2 people to work it, but when I got in there, I did it by myself. I figured out how to make it work by myself. So I became a full-time regular carrier and bid that route right away. So I started as a mailman in 1988. And then when I was delivering mail on my route, I would go into the businesses and ask them, "How come you're giving that to UPS? How come you're giving that to FedEx? Why don't you just give it to me? I come here every single day." So I accidentally opened up an account for $1 million. But I didn't even know what I was doing. But the postmaster found out, and they were giving us all their parcels. And then there was this thing called express mail. Right when FedEx was making overnight, post office had the equivalent service called express mail. So there was a blitz that they put on in 30 days, and they asked me if I wanted to be involved. So I was allowed to come off my route and do this marketing thing and go out door to door. So I opened up 25 accounts in 30 days.
So amazingly enough, you're working no one would ever in a million years think of the U.S. Postal Service as an entrepreneurial organization, but you come in and you really start to do some entrepreneurial things. And it looks like they recognize that.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
The post office, there's so much that you can do any job and just do it, right?
Right.
Just to do it.
Yeah.
We would work 5 a.m. to 2:30, and you can just go home and have a wonderful life. But I wanted to learn and learn and learn. And then I just figured if I'm working for these people, I should give them everything I got. So now I'm doing sales, right, for the post office for 30 days. And then the 3 real salespeople in the area never made that many sales in their whole career. And I did it in 1 month. So the way that the post office works, they promoted them out of their jobs and then opened
They promoted them up?
Yes.
And then the Peter principle, right?
And made a position available for me. But during that time, the union was mad I wasn't carrying my route. So they made me come back and carry my route until I could officially get that bid position.
Wow.
So I did that. And then...
So you were doing 2 jobs for a while.
And then I'm going to tell you, this is one of the moments in time where it's stuck in my head. My supervisor, the postmaster of Virginia Beach, they rotate in and out. But the one that was there at the time, he said, "Son," when I wanted to be promoted to marketing, he says, "Son, you're living outside your means. You need to do exactly what you're supposed to do." He did not believe in the ability to just go out and expand. Like, it was just for him. It wasn't these letter carriers that could do anything. So I got promoted into that position and became top salesperson in the country.
Wow.
For 4 years, and worked with sales. And being in Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads, I was able to work with companies like Lilly and Vernon, Home Shopping Network, QVC, all those awesome companies. And at that time, there was a new program introduced. The post office was trying to reduce cost. So in 1990, they wanted to get the vendors to do more work, to take cost out of transportation labor, because the unions are the most expensive thing. So we would give the customers shipping discounts to take it closer to the final mile. So Home Shopping Network, for example, would ship their packages normally with UPS all the way to California. I taught them how to take them from Virginia, drive them in a tractor trailer over to California, enter them into the post office over there, and save huge money, thousands and thousands of dollars. So it was called drop shipping.
So these big companies.
Big companies.
Wow.
So in 2001, my wife was still working at the post office. I met her, and she was in sales. And the post office at headquarters sent me into one of her accounts. And she did not like that. She was an account manager. We weren't boyfriend, girlfriend, or anything.
Okay.
They sent
you just
me
knew
in.
each other.
We just knew each other. They sent me in because
it's Tasia?
Tasia, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I know Norm's wife. Yeah.
I had the gift God gave me was solving problems. So when I went into her account, I saw an opportunity, and I built a proposal for that company. I showed them how to save $33 million a year. A year.
Which company is this? This is
the ABC Distributing when they were down here.
Mike Nunez?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So they brought me in, and he sat me down, and he asked he looked across at his VP, and he goes, "Is this true? Can we really save this?" And the VP agreed. I built the whole proposal myself. I got an award from the post office for $10,000, Postmaster General Award, for creating this back in the day, Excel macros and all this stuff. But it was fun. So he said, "I'd like you to leave the post office and
Mike
and do this for us." So that's when I left the post office in 2001. My wife still worked there. She blessed it. She gave me permission. And I walked away from the post office after 15 years to start setting up a business to be able to drop ship for customers.
So were you, was that the start of your own business, or were you working actually at ABC?
That was the start of a brand new business. I wasn't working at ABC.
So that
just
was
the
your
blessing of ABC said, "We'll support you with our volume if you do this for us."
Yeah. And I guess, you save somebody $33 million and you make 10,000. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah. The post office didn't have a, what's the word? Commission program. Everybody gets paid the same if you're the best or the last, but it didn't matter. I was going to do it. I loved it. So I took everything that I learned at the post office to heart and tried to bring it out there with me. So fast forward now, we opened up in Miami, and we started moving parcels.
And what was
customers.
The name of that? Was
Phoenix? That was Phoenix. DDU Express.
DDU, yeah.
Sorry, DDU Express. And we delivered parcels. If you fast forward from 2001 to 2005, the first year we did only $1.8 million. The next year we did $18 million. Then we did $38 million, $49 million, and then the investors came in and squashed it. So I had a big learning experience on that, but we had 7 distribution centers. I had Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville, Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta, and Mobile, Alabama. And we were distributing parcels throughout the whole Southeast to 3,000 post offices a day. We were taking advantage of that program that the post office had developed. And we started delivering the parcels. And we were working with FedEx and QVC and Home Shop and big companies.
Yeah.
But one of our partners that we were passing the parcels off in other territories in the country, like LA and San Fran, they undermined us. And they went behind our back to our customers and started holding parcels and said bad stuff, which wasn't true.
Wow.
Guess what, though? God paid them back. They went out of business. But we went out of business because the investors came in, bought us out. And instead of me taking money out, I stayed in to operate. And that's when we started all over again. They shut down on December 26, 2005. And I started Phoenix Package Logistics, up from the ashes all over again, out of my driveway with 2 other employees. Wow.
So the company DDU, you brought in investors to build out the company?
We started with only $25,000 is all we started with to open. And we were sort of self-sufficient, but then it became that we had to operate off of a line of credit.
Okay.
So we operated off of a line of credit.
So you had debt?
Yes.
But you didn't have other equity investors?
Just
you didn't sell stock. You own the company?
I had 3 silent partners.
Okay.
I'm really not supposed to say it.
Okay.
But yes, I had 3, and that's all done and everything now. But the reason that we had debt was because we floated the postage for these companies. So we had to pay the postage. When you pass a parcel over to the post office, you have to pay postage day of. So we did have debt, but we were reimbursed
that
1 week, 10,
right?
About 10 days worth of postage.
Until you got the money in from the delivery. Okay. And so obviously you're doing $46 million, and that's a lot, of float you got to cover in between,
Yeah, we were doing $3-4 million a month.
Right. Yeah.
It was a learning experience. I learned a lot in that and during that time. But even though 46 million, you're saying, well, wow, you must have pocketed a lot. It was all just growth. Because
you were putting it back into the business, right?
Yep.
Growing it.
Exactly.
So was there, so you had that one customer, you had ABC. So for you to say, okay, and Tasia was working at the post office still. So for you to take that first jump to start your own company, you had it pretty well figured out, it sounds like, right? In terms of how to do it.
Well, the reason that I sort of knew how to do it was because I built the proposal. God gave me the math. I can see numbers. I'm not being crazy or anything, but I can just see the numbers. So literally I would analyze their data and I could see, okay, you have 2,552 packages a day going to California. It's 3,700 miles. It's $1.18 a piece to get there, but there's 250 in the middle. I was able to calculate all that by every lane. This lane's going to San Fran. This lane's going to LA, Chicago, New Jersey, Philadelphia. And I built the line hauls out and everything. So then when the time came, I just had to implement that proposal. And that's how it was being built.
Wow.
And then locally, we would deliver to post offices all over the state. We had a 90% coverage rate for the state of Florida, including the Keys. We delivered to the Keys. We delivered up in Clewiston. We delivered everywhere.
Yeah.
And we had drivers. Oh my gosh.
And so then all of that. So
the investors came in, they took out more. I guess I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I was paying myself only $95,000 a year. My controller was only making $70,000. My VP of ops, small numbers, new company money. They brought in people and just started paying huge dollars. They were convinced all I needed to do was get out and sell it and they'll grow it. But they took $1 million more out. Yeah. No. The new investors, they bought everybody out.
So this was in
2004.
2004.
Right before it crashed.
Okay.
Yeah, they came in and they paid us $10 million.
Okay. So they bought the company for $10 million?
I stayed in. I maintained my 33%.
Okay, so you didn't take money out?
No.
You kept your money in?
$200,000 bonus.
Yeah. So you worked... So that first company was a learning experience.
Exactly.
Basically, you didn't make a ton of money.
Nope.
But you learned a lot. And I think, you also learned a lesson probably too about being undermined and how to protect yourself, going forward.
And when we started Phoenix Package Logistics, I remember just having one customer. And I got to tell you, God has a sense of humor. So I'll give you a fast little. don't take revenge or what we perceive as revenge into your own hands. God's got that fully under control. I blew past one little teeny part. I had a sales guy at my DDU Express company that I brought out of the post office. While I was on family vacation, he brought in investors that said, look at what I can build you. Crossed my heart. He left the company and we continued. And then after my company went out of business, he had a company. And guess who saved that company and took over that company? Me. So my company, after Phoenix Spectral Logistics, I went in and I was trying to bring on small customers and help people and do things like that. And I was nervous about what in the world am I going to do now? I just had this giant thing and now it's all kabooshed, right? So I went into a little bit of what I call consulting. It was free advice, helping other customers that were doing shipping and stuff, telling them what to do. And then I was able to bring it back together again and start over. And this time, instead of doing all the transportation myself, I outsourced the transportation to DHL, the post office, more and more. I outsourced that. So I became the person that would take in the customer's parcels and then distribute them out to the DHLs and the UPSs and things like that.
And this is probably, I'm trying to think around the time I met you, maybe in 2010, 11 was when you were launching. And that was where we met in Vistage, I think.
Right in 2008. I went from just shipping only, and then I added in fulfillment.
Okay.
So another funny
So explain
story.
that to everybody. What's the difference between shipping and fulfillment?
So shipping is where we would just provide the customer lower rates. So if you're using UPS ground or FedEx ground, I would show you through my accounts how to get discounts.
Okay.
And I would manage all of your back-end transportation, and I would get you the discounts, and you would win. I would make margin.
Yeah.
But you would win because now you're not paying the higher rates.
Right.
But in 2008, I had a salesperson down here and he went into a company trying to get their shipping, but they were having issues with fulfillment. So next thing I know, the owner's calling me and asking, my sales guy literally got the proposal of what the other company was doing. And we told him we could do it. We never did fulfillment before ever. So he wanted a fulfillment center in Tennessee, Nashville.
Okay.
So we said, yes, of course we can do this. So we quickly, with my father-in-law and the operations, we quickly went to Nashville, Franklin, Tennessee, found a facility that had pianos and things like that in there. We rented 10,000 square feet inside the guy's facility, brought my IT guys up there, put in all this operations, just makeshift, whatever we thought it was necessary to do. And in 29 days, we were up and running and shipping and doing fulfillment for this customer.
So in fulfillment is basically where you just take the deliveries and then send it like
So fulfillment, sorry for that. So fulfillment is where the customers literally are giving me their products now. So I'm warehousing their products, I'm managing their inventory, and then all of the customer orders drop down from their website into our order management system.
And you just handle that.
And then we're picking and packing and shipping out to all the Mrs. Smiths for them. And they never have to touch anything anymore.
Right.
So our customers get the benefit of not only having us pick and pack it, but now they're riding the coattails of our shipping. So I started being able to make margin off the shipping, make margin off the fulfillment, but our customers won by a long shot.
Because you're saving them money.
Exactly.
Ultimately. Yeah.
So
this is how Phoenix, so when did you went from just shipping at Phoenix and then around 20, when did you get into fulfillment?
2008, 2009.
You started
That's
doing
when
the
we really
fulfillment.
started doing the fulfillment.
Okay. And then your revenue started to grow then,
yes.
Even though the rest of the country, the economy was kind of going in the tank then.
But people were starting. We had strong customers, so we had diabetic supply companies. We had a lot of the diabetic supply stuff. That's not really seasonal. That's cyclical. So we would really concentrate on that. We developed software for our customers that was Medicare compliant. So one of the things that would happen is, when you're reimbursed by Medicare, you have to have all these reports, proof of delivery, tracking, things like that. Well, when you use a carrier like FedEx or UPS or the post office, they purged their tracking data after 90 days. So we would maintain that data. So when Medicare came in and audited and said, you shipped this box to Miss Smith November 2023, and we reimbursed you $100 for it, prove it. So you would go into our software and then you would type it in. It would print out a PDF of Mrs. Smith's order and all the tracking data because we would store it and manage it. And that was one of the big selling points that we had when we won CVS's business back in 2009.
Okay.
So we got that from, there used to be here locally Navarro pharmacies.
Right.
And they were smallish. They were big, but they were just getting into retail mails, shipping directly to the consumers and things like that. And then they were also the one that were the first to do the benefit program. So if you're a healthcare provider and you have a benefit program, you can spend this $50 a month or a quarter on these products, over-the-counter stuff, not pharmaceutical, like vitamins and Depends and things like that.
Yeah.
So we began shipping that for them. And then CVS bought Navarro, and we never went back. We began to work with CVS and grew from 400 pieces a day all the way to 2022, 6 million pieces a year.
So you really grew the business off of that CVS contract. And
big time. We literally our revenue in 2022 from doing shipping for CVS, the Today Show, Fox and Friends, all these accounts we picked up and grew with to $50 million.
Wow.
But then there was a moment of rude awakening. CVS said, well, we've learned a lot from you, and we're going to bring this in-house.
Wow.
So they literally lifted up the exact operation that we had built and placed it into their operation. And in the drop of a dime, I went from $50 million back down to $5 million.
Whoa.
Just like that overnight with all those employees, with all the overhead, with all the infrastructure and everything. And that's a moment where you're like, wow, what am I going to do now? But I said, I'm not giving up. God is taking care of me every step along the way. What makes me think this time is different? So we cut back what we needed to cut back. I kept a lot of people on though, because I knew if I was going to go, you got to have good people with you. You got to keep those people. You can't grow and then rehire. So I kept people on, and we slowly started clawing back, and we ended up in 2023 doing $8 million. And then this year we'll probably do 10 or 12. We're not growing rapidly because it's hard to make up that big giant Magilla.
And, maybe that's not the best thing, right? To have what you found out, right? It's great to have a big customer like that until they leave and, it decimates your business. But wow, that's so what an incredible story, Norm. And what did you, as you look back, so you had two companies, and the second one, obviously you were able to make some money on, which is wonderful. You learned that lesson, take some money out along the way. What have you learned though, in terms of lessons from those two businesses over the years?
Let's see. So one of the main lessons is just that if you got to believe in what you're doing, and you have to, it has to make sense. Like if you have something that other people want, then it's going to work out. It can't, I know it's hard to explain, but I like to look at it this way. This might sound a little religious, but if you're working within what God's will, like one of the things I want to say is that I wanted to make sure I did the right thing with the money, right? So in the first company, we didn't make any profit, but I also don't feel like I was centered properly. I don't think that I was, even though we didn't make money, I didn't support philanthropy. I didn't support foster care. I didn't do anything that felt good. In the new company, when we didn't have nothing, I was donating. I was donating to foster care. I was doing my tithing at church. I was doing things before I had the money. And then all things began to come together. It was almost like God said, I trusted you with a little. Now you can have some more. And let's see what you do with that. And then all of a sudden we started making more and more and more. And we were able to give more away to 4 kids of South Florida and foster care and support more organizations and things like that. And that's what I believe. That I believe he had his hand in it, because every single time I messed up or something bad happened, says, just wait. It's kind of, and it worked out that way. But it really has nothing to do with me. But if you have a good idea and you believe in it, and you build a support team around you, it can work. There's so many ways to make money out there, but you got to stay focused. You got to focus on the thing. Yeah. In our group, Carl always says, just focus on the one thing, right? Don't get too all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now who could be luckier than having the Today Show, Fox and Friends, doing flash sales and stuff like that? Come on. Yeah. I was a bagger in a grocery store, and now I get to have this.
Yeah. And I also I think back to the guy, the postmaster who told you, hey, you can't.
Yeah, you're living outside your means.
Yeah. And didn't he tell you you're never going to be anything?
Close enough.
Right?
Close enough.
He really insulted you. And, I guess you have demonstrated that he definitely underestimated Norm Kravitz.
Yeah, he underestimated that if you're in God's will, he's going to make sure it works no matter what.
And you're a man of faith too. And you have, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And, you talk about your faith, and I think that has certainly helped you through some challenging times, I'm sure, right?
Honestly, yes. It's a messy world out there, right?
Yeah.
And if you live in fear and anxiety all the time, I'm not going to lie and say that I don't get twisted up in a knot sometimes, like when I'm trying to figure out, in the company, oh, hey, 2023, we lost $1 million in cash, but I was trying to be wise all those years and store, not hoard, but store for, the times of slow, right? Yeah. Just like that's a biblical principle for all of us. We all do that, right? Yeah. We diversify, make sure that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. That's exactly what it means, right?
Yeah.
And so that when that time came where we were shortfall, we were able to support it and keep it going. And now we're getting back to moving the other way.
Yeah. Well, I think your lessons about just, keeping going and continuing to persevere and push forward with what you've done is incredible.
You got to have good people working with you too, though.
Yeah.
You got to. And one of the hardest things for me was relinquishing control, right? You hired them for a reason. Let them learn, let them, do well so that you can pass the baton. There's got to be a moment in time where we start passing that baton too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been able to bring my daughters into the company.
Right.
And oh my gosh, they're so freaking smart. I'm not even kidding you. And they may have originally they got the job out of need, but they earned it.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. One daughter works in HR and the other one's my controller.
So is that the goal? Is that one of them will take over?
I just want it to be sufficient enough. It's not about making all the money. It's that I just want it to operate without day-to-day oversight. You know what I mean? Just as a business that's just operating.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I
without you having to be in every day watching
exactly.
everything.
And I'm trying that my hardest this year. Really, really. I want to go out. I'm bringing in new business, trying to find new customers and things like that. We have great solutions for customers, and we're weak at marketing and stuff. We're getting better and better at it. It's just a matter of telling the story. Customers don't know.
Yeah.
So I love doing stuff like that. And I love helping new entrepreneurs. I mean, to be honest with you, that's exactly what our business is. Somebody comes to me with a project, says that we just onboarded a lady selling shirts, baby clothes.
Uh-huh.
It's a brand new project for her. We just onboarded another customer selling balloons, right? Uh-huh. If you got an idea and you want to do it, they come to us. We put their products in our warehouses. They focus on the marketing of getting the product out there in that name. And then we draw down the orders and we pick and pack them and ship them to all their customers.
Well, that's good to know too, because of the entrepreneurs that are watching that have these types of businesses, reach out to Norm. Can probably help you out.
Help you get your stuff delivered. That's for sure.
Well, at this time, we want to shift to the lightning round, where we're just going to ask you a bunch of quick questions and just throw out. And I think I know what your favorite book is, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What is it?
Definitely the Bible. I'm not going to lie.
I had a feeling.
Every single day, if I don't read every morning, like I'll never be late to an appointment, because I believe that it's disrespectful for the person that you're meeting with, right? There's no such thing as too much traffic. Dude, just get up early. Yeah. Don't ever be late.
But my point I made it here on time. You beat me this morning.
But if I have an appointment to meet with somebody, I got to get up to read. I have to do my devotions first every single morning. So no matter what time I have to be somewhere, I have to do those first, because that gets you grounded in the day.
Yeah.
Because, it's a messy world out there. But yes.
Excellent. How about a favorite song that gets you pumped up?
Yes. How about this? This is my old Don't Stop Believing by Journey. I love that song.
That is a great song.
I still go to their concerts.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
I don't even know if it's just one. It's a tough one.
How about mom?
I know. I was going to say mom told me don't rely on anybody else, but that's kind of true. But then you still got to rely on the good Lord. But yeah, I do agree that was really inspirational. And then the reverse one for the guy telling me don't live outside your means. That was the reverse advice.
If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who would it be?
Maybe mom again, just so, how's it going, Mom? How are we doing down here? What do you think? When Mom went to heaven and she died on December 18th before Christmas, and that was her favorite holiday. I'm just going to throw this in real fast.
Yeah.
Mom was hospice. She was dying. Hospice was in the house. She was on the respirator doohickey thing. And I wanted to have a party for Mom with the girls, and then my sisters wanted to kill me. Well, God gave us Mom back that night. She came up, got in her wheelchair. We sang Christmas carols. We did everything. We videoed the whole thing. We got to play with Mom, open gifts and everything. And then God took her. But He gave her back to us. So now every Christmas on the 18th, we all put our angel on the top of the tree.
How cool.
So yeah, it's a blast. Wow. So we turned a positive. Turned it into a positive.
Very nice story. What's something you're grateful for today?
I'll say second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth chances. That's what I would say. There's a lot of lessons learned in life. And as long as you apply it, listen, failure, I didn't even bring up all the failures, but failure, if you learn from it, turns you into a different type of person. All that stuff that I talked about was truly failure after failure after failure after failure.
Yeah.
It wasn't all wonderful.
Right.
It was huge failures. Right. So as long as you get up, brush yourself off, and keep going.
That's great advice. What's a fear that you've overcome?
thinking I was in control and I can control everything by myself. That's nothing could be further from the truth.
Who's someone you admire and why?
Lots of people, but business owners in general that persevere. And then there were some wonderful men at my biblical and church and stuff like that I admire like crazy, but the audience wouldn't know who they were.
Okay. Well, good. What's a new skill you're learning?
More patience, I think. I'm trying my hardest to be patient and wait. And because as an entrepreneur, you want it all tomorrow. You want everything right tomorrow. But I've learned it will be right when it's going to be right. And you can keep driving and driving and driving, but it doesn't always happen overnight. Definitely doesn't happen overnight.
And how can people get in touch with you? We got some entrepreneurs out there who might need some shipping. So
however they want. You mean like email and stuff like that?
What's the email?
So my email's Kravitz, Kravitz at FulfillMe, FulfillMe.com. And I don't even care if they call my cell.
Okay.
954-234-6378. I'm not going to lie. I don't pick up unless your name's programmed in my phone.
Yeah.
But
the same
the
way.
second that I get the voicemail and I hear the voicemail, I return the call. It's just, in the world that we live in today, you get so much spam.
Right.
I can't fib. I'm not going to answer till I get a voicemail.
Well, that's great. I mean, Norm, the reluctant entrepreneur, the reluctant podcast guest, your story is a great one. Thank you for coming on and sharing it with everybody. It was really a pleasure.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks for tuning in to Locality's Making Bank podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to catch the latest episodes, and visit localitybank.com today to learn more about all the benefits of banking local.